Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Hi, welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey. Thank you for joining us today for this episode. We are in part 4 of a 4-part series on profitability killers in your childcare business. We're going to talk about the last 3 issues that can cost your childcare business money. We did 3 in each of the last 3 episodes, and we're going to do profitability killer 10, 11, and 12 today. So profitability killer 10, Carol, which one is that?
Operational mistakes.
Yeah, making mistakes in your operation. So the first one is not using technology to make your job easier. I see this mistake a lot. You know, I remember meeting somebody early on, my early coaching days, that still hand wrote all her checks. That's an operational mistake, right? That's a big time consumer. Can you imagine having to do taxes? I don't even know what they did back then. I remember having to go to the bank to make my tax deposits, but I had a computer doing my tax, right? But I can imagine people do that in hand. And they used to have these hand charts to figure out what the taxes were.
Yeah.
Use technology to make your job easier. Auto pay. Use these apps for collecting parent tuition. You know, don't be collecting cash on the weekend or Friday and then get people all write checks to you. It's time consuming.
Right.
Use technology. Not having tools to make and not using them properly. Just make sure you use the proper things.
There are so many people that have a lot of different tools, but they don't use them.
One thing I've noticed, childcare people are famous for this. So when you go to a conference, you get all hyped up, right? And you get excited and you pass all these vendor booths. And all these vendors, basically talk you into buying things that you're never going to use, right? You get all these cool things because they're good salespeople at these conferences, right? And then you buy all these tools, and then they mostly go unused and never have them. So that's why you don't see vendors at Childcare Genius Conference, because we know that we just don't want you to be distracted.
Right.
So up until this point, we have not had a vendor booth, a vendor hall, or anything like that. Because we don't want you to be sold things that you just couldn't use. And if you want something, you go find it yourself.
And you can talk to other owners and see what they use and see what you think would work best for you.
Exactly, without having to be pressured into buying something, which can happen when you're excited. Right. We don't want to do that. So we promise no sales pitch at our conference. So we tend to hold firm to that because we just want you to enjoy the experience and not have to worry about that. Not mystery shopping yourself is a mistake. And not mystery shopping your competitors. So whenever you mystery shop them, you got to do yourself. It's one of those, I call it come to Jesus moments, where you're like, you tell your mystery shopper, you check those 3, but check me too. And make sure you're honest. Because when you ask them, where would you rather bring your kid? And they pick the competitor, then you got to know, okay, let's find out what they're doing and let's make some changes. Because never assume that you're the best. Always strive to see what other people are doing and to always streak to be a little bit better than them. For sure. And never worry about what the competitors are doing if you think you're the best, but you want to kind of make sure. Not thinking about the future is an operational mistake. Not having 5, 10, 20-year goals.
Right.
Carol, we've always had goals, right?
Always.
Big, hairy, audacious, awesome goals, right? Yeah, we got some big ones now. And we just love living life that way. It's just always setting goals. And that's why we travel so much, because travel was one of our goals. But you got to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you're just never going to get that. So that's kind of the operational mistakes. Make sure you use technology. That's the biggest takeaway from the
And use it
operational
properly.
and use it properly.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Sort of like, like a CRM system. Everybody needs one. If you have a center at least 30 kids, you need a CRM system. And most people run their CRM system like only using 3% of its capability. There's a lot these things can do. It's sort of like driving a Lamborghini in first gear. It'll get you where you need to go slower than normal, and it will get you there. But boy, the ride could be so much more fun if you knew how to switch gears. The same thing with a CRM system is using what's fully out there. You could really take advantage of it and just kind of supercharge your business. All right, next profitability killer
is licensing mistakes.
Yeah, making mistakes with licensing. I think the biggest mistake people make is having an adversarial relationship with their licensor. You have got to play nice here. Sort of like you don't pick a fight with a referee when you're the quarterback of a football team, because that person has the power to make you, throw a flag on the play, right? Well, the licensor has the power to shut you down or really seriously make your life complicated. Why would you ever do anything to piss them off? Right? You have to work with these people. So you have to find a way to get along and be respectful. And thankfully, we love our licensing person. Maybe it wasn't that way on day one, but we've formed a relationship where it's mutual respect. I know that, and I told her in the beginning, I said, if you treat me the same way you treat my competitor down the road, we're going to get along really nicely, because I know at the end of the day, I have a much better program, and you're not going to be looking at me as hard as them because I'm the best. And I just told her that flat out right. And I proved myself over the last 15 years that we don't have that level of scrutiny. Yeah, we're not saying we're perfect, but I'm just saying we get the benefit of the doubt because we're open, honest, we self-report when we need to, and we respect her.
Yep.
What's their main job?
To keep kids safe.
Safety of the kids. That's their number one job. So if you argue with them, you are arguing against safety of children in their mind. So if you argue with them, in their mind, they're saying you would rather argue with me than keep children safe. So that's the context that you have to come at them with. So whenever they tell you something you're doing wrong, the proper response is, thank you so much. I really appreciate you pointing that out. I'm going to get right on fixing that. And I will send you a picture by the end of the day, having that addressed. I don't know how I missed that as a possible safety concern. Now think of the tone difference. Then if you argue with somebody, then if you're going to take action on that, and I never thought of it that way. Thanks for pointing that out. And sometimes you can't see your own mistakes and your own blind spots, because remember, these are the people that have to live with the consciousness that if a kid died in the program, they're the ones responsible for it. So it's a huge responsibility. Like a DHS caseworker, foster care would probably be the worst job, because you placed the wrong kid in the wrong family. That's a lot of responsibility. This is probably the next second most stressful, because keeping a center licensed that maybe doesn't belong to be licensed, or keeping a teacher in a classroom that doesn't deserve to be with children is a huge responsibility. So keep that in mind when you're sending out your Christmas card at the end of the year. You might want to send your licensor one, because that's the person that she points something out that can keep a kid from dying in your program. You need to thank her for pointing those safety things out, or him, because by doing so, that might just keep you in business. So think of that the next time you get a licensing violation. Say thank you instead of cursing them. And I tell you, it'll go a long way. And you find out that maybe they don't look as hard next time because you have a good attitude. Mindset is everything. Any more to add to that?
Nothing to that, but licensing violations can hurt your center financially.
Yeah, because your insurance rates can go up. Parent unhappiness, they'll leave. Increased state scrutiny. Sometimes the more you argue or the more things they find, the more they start looking for more things they can find.
And most states now post licensing violations online, and the insurance companies look at those.
What's funny is insurance companies, I think, look more and more of those than parents look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think parents look very much at state licensing stuff, new protected parents. So don't sweat that part. Sweat the insurance company, because they will look and it'll affect your insurance rating.
Yeah.
So be real careful, fix things.
Yeah.
Make sure your licensor knows some of them don't know that it affects your insurance rating. So maybe they'll think twice of putting something minor on there if it could be corrected on the spot because it knows it could affect your financial. So make sure they know that. We made sure we tell our licensor that. All right, and the last of the series,
customer mistake.
yeah, when a parent has a complaint not listening, there's a book called A Complaint is a Gift. And when a parent gives you a complaint, you need to listen.
Yeah. I mean, granted, some of the complaints are baseless.
They might be.
Or they're entitled parents, but you still need to listen to what
they have to feel heard.
Right.
And if they feel heard, no matter how stupid it might be, if they feel heard, even if you don't do anything, tell them how much you appreciate them speaking up. I've had people give me feedback from my conferences, from speaking, from podcasts, and it's constructive criticism. I love that. I actually do. Because anything that could make my job better or for a listener to look at it a different way, I'm going to want to know. So if you want to give feedback to me, please do. Brian@childcarejesus.com. I welcome that. And I know I'm not going to be perfect, and I know I'm not going to appeal to every audience because I don't sugarcoat stuff and I tell it like it is. And some people, I piss a few people off on the way, and I don't apologize for that. But if I could do it better, I'm going to try. Just let me know. Not making that person feel special is a mistake. So just make them feel special for taking the time to let you know there was an issue. Not the last thing I'm going to talk about is enforcing a notice. This is a big argument in the childcare circle. Somebody leaves without a 2-week notice, should you take them to court? Should you go after them? Carol, what do you think?
If you do take them to court, you have to be prepared for backlash.
Yep. I could promise you 1-star review. They're probably going to call licensing and make up stuff on you. They're going to get you.
People get so up in arms about all of this stuff on mommy groups on social media, and this is a big one that starts things.
Yes. It's like I call it an unforced error. Just let them go. Just let them go. And tell them, I always tell them, I have a scholarship program and I'm going to scholarship your, out of my own pocket, I scholarship funds and I'm going to pay your tuition.
Most parents will do a 2-week notice unless there was a reason that they're leaving, that they're not happy with your center.
True. And you don't want happy parents sticking around. So why force them to a notice and keep them around for another 2 weeks where they can find more things they don't like about your school to tell people out. So, don't, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, as the old saying goes. So if they don't like you, forcing them to stay there, they're just going to stew and find more things. You let them out nicely, guess what? Yeah. They're going to remember that, maybe tell 3 other people how nice you were. And maybe it just didn't work out, but they're not going to say anything bad about you. So sometimes, again, don't step over dollars to pick up pennies. And that's what you're doing when you go after notices. And I know, from a financial perspective, it seems to make sense. This is why you don't live paycheck to paycheck. Have a little bit of a buffer. Have a scholarship program. Pull a little bit out of your pocket. Charge a little bit extra. Make up for it. It's we call it spillage in breakage. You've heard that term before. It just assume that you're going to have 0.05% people just walk away and not pay, and it's okay. Let them go. My opinion. All right, and that is the last of the 12. We hope if you follow those 12 financial things, you're going to be in much better shape. We're going to teach these more in depth, but we're going to teach a bunch of other topics when we go to Mexico in September. Everything from wealth management to estate planning to what to do when you die, how to give all your kids your inheritance tax-free, how to give them step-up appreciation. You don't even know what that means, most of you. How to become a real estate professional without getting a real estate license and get huge tax advantages. We'll teach that too. So Carol and I have got a lot of knowledge when it comes to finances. We've made millions in the industry. We're going to teach that in in Mexico. Went to Jamaica last year. In Riviera Maya, Mexico, September 29th to October 3rd. Go to childcaregenius.com. Under the conference tab, select the Leverage Conference. Go ahead and get your tickets today. $9.99 for 2 tickets or $5.99 for 1. And we hope to see you there. And this concludes this episode of the Childcare Genius Podcast. Thanks for taking time out of your busy life to spend a little time with us.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Childcare Genius Podcast. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.